Let's get after this, folks. Let's get after this. We will be talking Cypress and BMI calculator. Let's see if we can record this. Hopefully we'll get a good quality. If not, then not. You know. Of course, somebody's calling in the middle of this thing, but I will not answer the phone. I'm all yours. All right, folks. So we are also live on Twitch. If you want to follow that, just in case the quality goes bad here, there will be a few seconds delay from the Google Meet and the Twitch stream, but we should be good. We spoke a few days ago about Cypress, so I will not go over these slides in its to its fullest. Just want to quickly recap what we are doing, and then we're going to dive straight into coding. And hopefully, guys, when I do code live, you guys are following along, perhaps even have your IDEs open and doing some of the stuff. And if you do, let me know, because then I can slow down the pace if I'm losing you at some point. But also try to focus on every line of code possible, and really follow what we are doing, so that you guys can replicate the workflow. It's not only about the code that we write, but also how we write it and in what sequence. And listen to my I think aloud, so I speak about my way of thinking. It's not just that I'm explaining things to you, I'm explaining things to myself. So quite often, and this is true, when I code, I have this inner dialogue with myself. What am I doing? Why is this data doing here? Why the fuck is this working? And so on and so forth. And that last one is actually very much present at all times when I code. So anyway, let's dive into this. Introduction to end-to-end testing with Cypress. We know that what we are talking about is the difference between acceptance tests and unit tests. Today, in these demos, we're focusing on acceptance tests and how Cypress solve a lot of issues for us. We spoke briefly about why we are testing, and again, these bullet points are really, really important, and I would like you to almost have them. If perhaps I should send this out as a PDF, but you can basically check off certain things that we are doing, and what problems we are solving when you see them live, happening at all times. Hello, Lucas. Nice to see you with us. Remember to click the Twitch link. It's important, so I get the good statistics.
Oh, this one is on Twitch as well.
Yeah.
All right.
So all of the things that we are listing here will be covered in our fairly trivial demo. As I said, the world will not be a better place if we build another BMI calculator. This is just a proof of concept when we code this. We spoke about the requirements, what you need to know about the application you are testing when you're looking at acceptance test. And the requirement is fairly low threshold. You don't need to know much about what's going on underneath the hood. You need to know certain things about the user interface, like the IDs or the naming and the classes that are used on the HTML. But all of that is easily accessible to you through the browser. You can always inspect each element and get to know that element in more detail. So you can write your acceptance tests. It's pretty straightforward. And again, the concept here with acceptance tests is that we test the entire application, from user interface, from any input on the user interface to any output that we get back from the application. That is the general idea here. We spoke about Cypress, what it brings to the table, and this great user interface that we will be watching and seeing live soon is the best part of this. And as I said, I think it comes here that Cypress is at its best when we use it while we develop our app, because it's a great tool. It's a fantastic alternative to spinning up the application. You know, you should, in principle, never have to spin up your local server. You can run everything through Cypress and get exactly what you would see in the browser, but much more, like automated tests and an answer to the question, is my application actually doing what I want it to do? Very solid platform, and so on and so forth, just the way we like it. Let's dive into the whole thing and code a little bit, right? We spoke about where you can find things and so on, but let's see some code. Now, let's close this one down. Well, actually, what I can do is I can just download this as a PDF and share it with you somehow. Can I do that? Yes, I can. So I'm just um, gonna share this. It's called Introduction to Cypress. Let's do that. So you have this PDF uh, easily accessible. Where are you guys? You're here. From my computer, Introduction to Cypress. Right. So here we go. Right. Okay. Now we can close this and we can dive into some code. I can cd, oh sorry, I can cd into BMI calculator, right? Project setup. Remember I introduced you to the concept of branches, and I created a new branch on that particular in that particular project, and I do have a remote set up, probably. Yes, I connected this local repository with a remote repository on GitHub, so we should actually, in principle, head over to GitHub, my own account. There we go. And we go to repositories and we find a BMI calculator, BMI challenge 2021. I've done this a few times, so I gave it a year, and we can see that there is one pull request and it's marked work in progress. Testing frameworks. I'm just gonna remove the VIP tag, so you can always edit the title of your pull request. Just as a sanity check, so I don't miss anything, I will do a git status just to see. Oh, sorry. So I don't have anything that is not pushed. Nothing to commit working is clean. Then I can do git log one line. Hello, Castraz. Nice to see you. We're doing some git hubbing at this point, or gitting. Can you say that? Are we doing gitting? I don't think you can. But we can always invite new words. There is actually a very famous line from a Marvel movie when I think somebody says to Thor, "That's a made-up word," and Thor replies, "All words are made up." And in a way, he has a point. At some point, the humankind just agreed that apple means an apple, and so all words are made up. So if we want to say that we are gitting, we are free to say that, right? Who's going to stop us? Nobody. Anyway, here we are, gitting. Yes, we are gitting. So this means that I am good to go on this pull request, which is actually a part of your challenge to create a feature branch, create a pull request towards your own repository. So I can merge this one now, right? I created this from my project setup branch to my master branch, and I should be ready to go at this stage. So if I go to my master branch, I can see all of that stuff on GitHub, right? So if I now do git checkout master locally and I do ls, I see that I have some stuff with Cypress and everything, but I need to do a git pull origin master like this, and now I can see that I have more dependencies, and all of the code that I just merged on GitHub is actually available to me on my master branch, which means that I can do, let's see, cat package JSON. For some reason, I didn't set up a command, but I can do Cypress open, and that should not really, I don't have any tests written yet, but we should at least see the interface, something like this. Nothing is available. I will not update to 6.80 yet, but at least we know that we're good to go. So that's good. Let's close this for now and think about what we can do from now on. Well, first of all, we will look into this BMI domain, right? So we wanted to we want to write our first tests, basically. So we will clear this up and do git checkout, a new branch, and we will call it BMI functionality. And why? Well, because I will be working on a new feature and I don't want to be on my master branch. You have to get that into your spine. We don't want to code on our master. We want to be on a feature branch at all times. And I only need to create this locally. I do not have to create anything on GitHub. That will be automatically created for me when I push things up. So one thing that we want to do is to create a new file in the Cypress integration folder, which is the folder where our tests will reside. And I will just say something like user can check their BMI, and I will call it .feature.js. User can check their BMI, user, right, there we go. Okay, and which means that if I do git status again, git status, we have a new folder. But this is a bit confusing when you're new at Git. I actually created a new file, right? But as you can clearly see, Git doesn't care about the file yet. It only cares about the folders. But if I would now do git add and dot, like everything that I just created, and do git status again, we can see that now Git actually tracks the new file. Git never tracks empty folders. It only tracks files and the paths to those files. So that's a bit important to know. We could speak Swedish, Kastras, but unfortunately we have non-Swedish speaking students with us, so not today. Just got a question whether Swedish could be an option. Right, so another thing that I need to set up before I actually start to write this file is to add a script to my package JSON that will allow me to both start the server and execute the tests in the same command. And that is actually not covered by your documentation. So those old-fashioned pens that you have laying around, and a piece of paper would probably come in handy at the moment, because you probably need to take this down so you don't have to rewatch this video over and over again later. Now, one package that we need to add is a package that is called start server and test. So we need to go to our terminal and say yarn add as a dev dependency a package that is called start-server-end-test. It's the shittiest package name ever, but at least it's very descriptive. It tells you what it does. So we want to start this. We want to install this baby. And again, it's a dev dependency, but that should be pretty straightforward. And then we need to go to our package.json. So once we've installed this, we need to go to our package.json. And here, since we don't have this key that is called scripts, we need to create one. So we need to create a new key in this thing, in this file, and get that up and running with as an object. And then we want to add the following scripts in there. One that is called, we're going to call it cy::open, and that would execute, so it's a colon, and that would execute the Cypress open command. Cypress open, and then a comma, and another one that we will just call Cypress, and that will execute, my dear friends, start server and test. And then we will halt for a second. Actually, we will halt because we need to add another key that is actually called start. Forgot about that. And so the start command will be
React-scripts.
No, that's super static. We're not using React for this one.
Just the yarn side, I guess.
Yeah, no. Well, that's what we're creating. So we need to say super static, but we need to add something more here than that. Hold on a second. What was that? Shouldn't that be covered in? Hold on a second.
I think it should say like source, like SRC, and port 3001.
Yeah, right. Super static, then just author C and then 3000 actually, because I think I started on 3000 in my implementation. Let me just try that. Super static source. Let me just try that. So yarn, before you do anything, start. Right, command is not found. Right. So yarn add -d super static. Add, Thomas, add. Yes, because I forgot an R. There we go. No? Now I've had one R too many. Right, we have to add super static. Yarn add -d super static. It's probably documented in your yeah, it's documented in your course documentation. I think it is, right? It's just me that forgets things. So now we've added this, and then we will say, and then, right, so it's going to be port --port 3000. Right, so now we say yarn start, and this will fail for me because What? Really? Because I still misspell this. Super static. I misspelled this as well. Oh gosh. The typos, right? 99% of every error. Right. So now it started, but there's nothing there to see. It's like there's nothing on localhost 3000. So I think your course documentation says 3001, but it doesn't really matter. You know, you can use 3000 as well, right? I'm using 3000. So that's okay. So now we're good to go. So this means that we want to say start server and test, and then start bum, 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 bum. God, I think I made this overly complicated for you guys, to be honest. But let's just see if this works. HTTP dash dash local host 3000, and then CI run. So this is actually CI open. This way of doing this is a bit, in my opinion, safer further down the line when you guys work with other libraries. Iron, I see that you have your camera off. Is it okay if you turn it on? But this is actually a better way to do things. So let's see if we can close this and just make sure that we run yarn Cypress. And that starts the server, and it should start the runner, but it's not doing it. Hold on. Why aren't we starting the runner? Why are we not starting the runner? Oh gosh, I really don't. Start server and test start HTTP localhost 3000 and CI open. Right. So how about we just do But
isn't the start server and the super static kind of colliding in a way? They're both server tools.
Yeah, but they should. You might be right. You might be right. So let's just do super static. No, let's do yarn start and yarn CI open. Let's just do that. Let's forget about the start server and test. Let's see if this. Yeah, so that worked. Okay. So I will just paste those scripts here in your chat. Well, that wasn't your chat. Here's your chat. Right. Right. These are the ones that we need. So we don't really need the start server and test. We can remove that dependency. Right. Okay. But anyway, if you get to this far, this is, you know, the one that I just sent to you in Slack differs a little bit from the one in the course documentation. So this is the one I think you should use. It's the best one. And if we just start this guy, nothing happens because Cypress doesn't know what to do because we haven't written anything in our tests yet. and it says no tests found, right? So you can keep this running, actually. It's totally fine to keep this one running. And so here we could now, in principle, make sure that we move on and write our first test. And the first test we write could be something, in principle, a describe block. I can add a describe in it because I have an extension that will scaffold some code for me. And so I will call this user can check their BMI by check the BMI. That's it. That's it. And then I would use another describe block by inputting valid data or measurements or whatever you want to call it, right? And so we will move this up here, or perhaps we can use this inputting valid data is expected to return a BMI value, right? Is expected to return a BMI value. Okay, so the first thing that we want to do in a before block, or is it a before each? Before block, I think it's before. In a before block, we want to say cy.visit and then just the root path, because Cypress already knows that the address to the server is localhost 3000 because we told him so here in Cypress JSON base URL, so it knows where to navigate. So does that do anything for us? 404, page not found. There's nothing there, but he's trying to navigate to that server. You understand? So we can fix that problem pretty fast. First, by creating a new folder that is called source, and in the source folder we want to create a new file that is an index HTML, and in that we just want to scaffold the basic HTML5 document, and we can say BMI calculator, and we can in the body tag give him an H1, and we can just say BMI calculator, for instance, and then we should be able to visit this, and now we can see that in our runner. And this is like a browser, so we can just do whatever we can do in a browser. We can inspect and everything. So let's write a test for this. So we can say it is now. We can move this before block up to this describe block, and we can say why would that be? Right. We could say we can write a nonsense test is expected to output or to show main header of the app, and we could say something like ci.get, and then we just want to look for the h1. There is only one, and then we say should, right, without the spelling mistakes, should contain and that would be a string saying BMI calculator, and we can say contain text probably because it's a better asserter, and that is passing green for us, right? Is expected to show the main header. This one is also going green, but that's because there is nothing there, right? It's an empty test, so it's a very you know, it's a false positive, one would say, definitely. If you're in the Twitch, just say hi in the chat because I need that again. So as usual, right? So in this one, we could add another before block, and here we can say CI get and we could get something like an input, and we could give this input a name. So we can try that name, and that would be weight, and then we say type. I hate this, but let's say 99. Okay, let's say 99, and then we would say another one. See, I get height, and we will say 186 because that's me, and then we would say CI get, and we will say button, and we give that one a name just so we know how that is done, and then the name would be calculate, and then we're just gonna click on that guy, right? And then ci dot get like a div with a name of results. We could say should contain text, right? And the text should be your BMI value is 28 point, I don't know, or 20, yeah, 28 point, I don't know what actually what it is. So we can figure that one out. Like, let's say 29, right? So now what I've typed down, thank you, Aaron. So what I've just typed down is a possible user interaction, right? We are filling in an input field with one value and then another value, and we're clicking on a button, right? And as you see, I spoke to you yesterday or the other day about certain, you know, ways to find elements, and there are multiple ways to find them. You can use IDs, as I showed you in the examples. You can use classes, you can use names, you can use HTML tags. There is actually one that is preferred over all of this. I will talk to you about that later. But for now, let's just give those elements names instead of IDs, just because we can. I just want to show you a different way to do this, right? So if I run this now, we will get into all sorts of trouble, right? Because it's trying to get an input that has a name of weight. We don't have that. Okay, so let's go to our index.html and just say input, and we will actually use input with input text. It's the easiest thing, right? And I will give it a name, weight. I will remove the ID, and I will remove, no, I will not remove anything else, right? So let's see if we can run that. It doesn't find it. Did I misspell? No, I did not. There is no matcher. Well, I did one mistake, and here I need to wrap this in double quotes, probably. Still nothing? No.
I think you misspelled weight on the
Did
code.
I? Did I? I keep doing that all the time. Yes. And now you can see that. I mean, come on, I guess I'm tired or something. Now we have 99 here, right? Okay. So just to maybe on the safe side, I'm just gonna copy this now so I don't I don't get into the same issue. And I will add another one, input text, and I will give this the name of height. I will remove the ID. I will check my runner, and now we have 99 and 186, right? Okay, so there's another thing that I want to have, and that is the button with the name of calculate, just to be on the safe side. I'm going to copy this, and I will just give this a button like this, and I will just give this a name equals calculate, and I will also give it some text calculate, just so we have that. And we're going to run this, right, and he's clicking on that and so on, and now he's looking into the thing that we should have some sort of an output, right? um, when we click this. So what we can do here, just as a very quick fix, I can add a script here, and I can say document, no, yeah, yeah, so I can do let button, or actually const button equals document, add event listener, and the event listener would be no, but no, get element by name, get element by name, and the name is calculate, and then button, add event listener. No, why am I not? Why? Get elements. Oh, no, that's not the right one. Get, oh shit. Oh, I should have given it ID instead. By get.
You can do it by class name. You didn't. Or you
No,
gave it just a name.
I just want, yeah, I just want one single. So let's give this an ID actually. Calculate. Right. It's simpler for me. Right, there we go. Now I can add an event listener, and now I can say click. I can click on this, and when I click on this, I can just get. So I'm going to create a div with name of results. What was it? Results or result? Results. Was it results? It results, right? So I'm going to give it a name of results, and then I will just give it an ID again. So the name is just not very good way of naming them. So I will say const this results node equals document get element by ID, and that would be results, and then we just say results node inner HTML equals, and what was it? We wanted to say your BMI is 29. Why not? We don't even have to calculate anything. We can just say that. And so let's see what that does for us. Yeah, that passes, because when we click on it, we get this output. And you see, this is of course nonsense, right? Because it doesn't do any calculation. But at this stage, it's actually not nonsense, because we only have one test case, right? So the need for a calculation comes into play, one could argue, only when we have two tests. Like if I now would write another test saying that I want to type in other values and it should say something else, that's when a need to actually perform some sort of a calculation comes in. One could argue, but this is at least a beginning. I would say also that all of this needs to be extracted into a new file. Let's say, BMI user interface UI.js, and just put this in here. And in this index HTML, I would not have this, which of course would break my tests. Nothing happens now because the JavaScript is gone. So I would say that I need to say script source, and the source would be the BMI UI.js. I include that into my file, and now this should in principle work again, right? We reinstated the same functionality, right? But we also want to separate the user interface interaction, from the logic. So I will create another file that I will call, let's say, BMI calculator .js, and here I would just define so I would say const BMI, let's say BMI calculator, and that would be an object, for instance, and I will say calculate BMI, calculate, just call it calculate, and that would be a function, and this would take weight and height. It will take two arguments, right? And then it can say return just a string, and the string could be in principle this your BMI value is 29. No, actually you can just return 29. Right, so let's just return 29. 29. Independent of what it gets, it doesn't really matter what we will send into it. We will work with that in just a second. And then I need to include this script here. Just include that BMI calculator. And the reason why I'm including it before I include the BMI UI, because I'm going to use this JavaScript inside of that. And so in regular JavaScript, you do not have require or import export as you do have in Node.js. So that will not fly in any way. So you have to take that into consideration. So let's say now that in this BMI UI, you will just say let value or BMI value, let's call it BMI value, equal BMI calculator, calculate, and then pass in, what was it? It was weight and height, right? So we grab the weight and height of these input fields, right? But we need to get them. We don't have those values yet. So the question is, how can we do that? At this stage, I would definitely say that using a debugger is a good strategy, right? Because even in this very simple example, we start to rely on the interface providing us with the right values and the right data that is inputted by the user, and by setting the debugger statement before we set this value, then we can gain a better understanding of what's going on by running our tests again and interacting with this data from our console. And lo and behold, in my console or in my sources, I am, where am I? Right, here I am, right. So do I have access to these things? Well, not really. Um, we need to find them, right? So we would say document, well, how can we get them? We can get them by, that's why we have the name. So we can say document body. I mean, there are many ways to get them, and we can say children, and then we will say height. Look, and that's that element. And if I just call dot value on it, we say 186. Right? So that's nice. That's why we give them names, because if we give them names, then they are actually available to us as an attribute of the document body as children. So that's one way of doing this. There are many other ways. You could use the IDs and so on, but this one is actually not a bad one. So we could, if we want, we could just mark this and say that we want to pass this guy in and then this guy in, but change this to weight like this. And just as a sanity check, I can just show you that this one actually contains something. Not? Oh, sorry. Right. All right. It was just me that makes those stupid mistakes at the same time. Right. So I can get this, and so I can move this debugger from here into the BMI calculator and just put it in here. Oh, there we go. Right. So I can release this guy. I can run my test again. And now we are in the BMI calculator function because I just moved the debugger. And you have to work with your debuggers in this way. You have to understand where they are, and there's nothing wrong with spreading them across your entire code base. That's perfectly fine. Now at this stage, I just need to place my cursor over the first argument and the second one, and we can see that we passed them in the wrong order. You see that? The weight is 186 and the height is 99. That's a fat ass midget, I would say. It probably needs to be another way around, right? See, sometimes my mistakes can actually raise a laugh, so that's good. Then I know that you're not asleep, at least. Right. So let's change that around. That's not a good thing. So we need to just grab this one, X this from here, change the order, and we should be good. Release this and run this again. And now you can see that the weight is 99 and height is 186. Looks better, right? Okay. Now imagine if you didn't have an automated test runner. Then you had to reload the page yourself, you had to fill in those values, and you had to click the calculate button. The time saving on this one is perhaps very small, but if you have a flow in your application that is more complicated, then your automated test will run through it for you. You do not have to click around yourself. So apart from getting you to think, your test runner itself helps you by saving you a lot of time. Even though it takes some time to write the test, you will save massive amount of minutes when you actually run those tests, right? Okay, so that was pretty straightforward. Now what we can do is to implement some sort of functionality like a calculation. And we could now go to our well, first of all, before we do that, we are returning a hard-coded value, 29, right? So we could say here, instead of this, we could string interpolate and just say $ curlies and just pass in the BMI value, right? And I think we need to say round or something. Let's see, because this will fail for us on the second run. Let me just remove the debugger. Right, because you see, we are looking for 29.00 and he's returning 29. That's the thing he's returning. So we could fix this easily by just saying that you need to return this. I don't know if that's actually going to fly. No, it won't fly because it doesn't. So it can return a string instead. So that would fly. Right. So now we are passing the test. But this is of course not what we want to do, because we actually want to perform some sort of a calculation, right? So, and what was the algorithm is pretty simple in the metric method. You multiply your height by itself, and then you divide your weight in kilograms by the value you calculated in step 1. That's what we need to do to get the value. So let's do that. Where's my test runner? Here it is. So we want to say let BMI value equal weight divided by height multiplied with height. And then we just return the BMI value. Right. And then we run this, and now it says 0, 0 like this, right? So we need to divide that. I know how to fix that. It's just we're asking for centimeters here, so we basically need to divide that with 100 and this with 100. And now, well, 28.61. I wasn't that off when I said it was 29, and I calculated that in my head. So that's awesome. No? Yes, it is. Right, but there's too many decimals here, right? We only want 2 decimals. So how do we fix that? Well, we fix that in a way that I don't remember actually how to do that. I think it's right. It's fixed. It's called fixed. Let's see. Let's right JavaScript. I should know this.
I use math.round.
Math.round.
Yeah, and then ended it with dot to fixed with 2 in brackets.
Right. But math.round will round up to the thing. We probably need those two things. So it's basically what is it? Two fixed, right? Right. Two fixed, and then just a 2. Right. So that would be 2861 now. 2862, right. So we can just change this to 2862 actually. Now that we know what it is. So, and now we are going green on that one, right? So now so you see, this is the acceptance test, right? And we did so much more, because we did work with the interface, and we grabbed those things. We wrote a little bit of JavaScript, and then we wrote this little function here that is called BMI calculator, right? Now, this function should be tested using unit tests in total installation from the interface, from the website. And that is the reason why I always separate those two. Like, they separate the user interface, and I separate the actual calculation of data or manipulation of data. Now, it would be easy for us to perform this very simple calculation, right? Because it's not very heavy already here in this file. That would be perfectly fine, and I bet that a lot of developers would actually do that, and there's nothing wrong with it. But it's cleaner, even though it requires you to write more, well, the same amount of code, but in more files. But it's easier for people to read it. It's easier to test it, and it also allows you to, let's say you want to write, let's say, a React implementation of this calculator at some point. Then you can just take this and extract that to a service module in your React application, and boom, you don't have to rewrite this thing. You understand? Because this will be the same. It will stay the same independently of what JavaScript framework you are using, in my opinion. So that is one reason why this separation is good for you. And of course, if we look at this guy, this looks like shit too, by, like, you know, passing this in as arguments. So what I will do here is I want to remove this, and I would say let's weigh and am I misspelling this thing? And then I say let's, right, I'm just gonna assign values to these. And we just do, what was it? It was, oh, now I forget. It was weight first, right? Right. This looks a little better. So we are declaring the variables here, and then we are filling them with values. You don't really have to do that on two lines, so it's easier to do this. And so we can remove that one, and also you can make a case that this will not be variables because they will never change. So you could definitely set them as constants, right? So that's even better in principle. And also this could also be a constant. I don't think that this needs to be a variable. So yeah, we can move this one out of the event listener like this, and we could, in principle, remove all of this, extract this into a separate function as well, should we want to do that. But for now, this can stick around. Let's run our tests again, and we're going green on this one. And now we have our calculator. So now I can do, I'm actually probably over 100 now. So let's say 104. Be generous. It's still generous. It's still not really true. And we can see that I'm 30, which is obese, right? So it works. So you can use this one. You can interact with this one in your test runner. All good. But it also helps you to run those tests and fake a user for you. So the next challenge is to not settle for this. Your BMI value is 28.60, but I rather say, and you are deemed, obese in my case, right? Or underweight or whatever you are, right? So that would be the next feature. But at this stage, what I would do is to stop the test runner, do a git status. We have a yarn error log. Well, thank you for that. We don't want that. So, well, why would I have to? Right, so rm yarn error log. Fuck off. Git status, git add, because we want to add the files in our source folder. That's important. And now do git status again. Always sanity check, did you actually include everything that you were supposed to include? And git ci, which is a shorthand for commit. Git ci, and I always pass in the AM flag, and I would go so adds functionality to calculate the BMI value, right? Right, but this is still in a way a work in progress, so I would definitely add this to the beginning. Yeah, that's enough. And git push origin BMI functionality like this. And then I would just go to my BMI challenge. I can see that BMI functionality has recent pushes less than a minute ago. I could compare and create a pull request. And I misspelled. Well, there you go. I did look at it and I couldn't see it. So actually, I'm just gonna git squash 1, and I will just change that because I do way too many typos. So now I'm good. Right. And this is mergeable, but this is still a work in progress because I haven't added the output, the normative table lookup. So I will probably do that in a second. And another demo that I will pre-record and send it out to you. I don't necessarily have to invite you to watch this, but who knows? Perhaps I do it tomorrow. Right. And this is it. Now we have a pull request open. We can take a look at it. We've added we changed 6 files. We have the test, and we have these names. I forgot a debugger statement that is commented out, so that's a slap on the fingers for that. But in general, this works now, and it's an iteration. I would say it's an iteration. All right, David, did you pick up anything useful in this session? Apart from me making typos all the time.
Yeah. Yes, I did. I mean, there's a lot new for me, as usual. The video is a bit blurry, but the Twitch one is very clear. So I will watch it one more time. So make it myself and push it on GitHub and everything.
Good stuff.
So yeah,
good stuff. All right, Luke.
Yeah, I've learned a fair bit as well. I've already been working on my BMI calculator, so I'll be looking at your Git repo and sort of comparing the differences with the documentation that's sort of up and working different ways. So yeah, there's a lot to go back and forth. Typos are definitely something I picked up this week that have driven me insane. But
now, and fast forward 10 years into your career, it will be even more insane. Trust me, because it never goes away. It never goes away.
So
yeah, and yes, there are differences from the way I did it now from the documentation, which proves the point that nothing is set in stone. There are always multiple ways to do things, and my way that I did today is not any better than any other. It's just that I don't like reading documentation while I code for you guys because that feels like cheating. So I just did it, the way I would have done it, basically.
Exactly. It'd be nice to sort of compare them and see what both things work and what maybe looks better and works in the situation better.
Good. Thank you. All right, Arun, your thoughts?
Can you hear me?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so many things are there. I'm seeing it first time, the JavaScript, so it's really difficult for me to sometimes follow. But yeah, I'm trying to do my best to follow it. And, so yeah, so many things are there. And I had one question there. It's like, I worked with HTML. When I worked with HTML, you make your contact page. When you make a contact page, you know, you take the user's details there, name and everything, and then you get the data. HTML calculator was working like that. You know, you're taking data from the user and then you were calculating things. So it was quite. I think I was seeing the screen there. It looked like same, but you know, I think it will be fun to do with Java. I worked with HTML in that way, but not with Java. So it will
JavaScript,
be,
yes.
yeah, interesting. JavaScript.
Good. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, keep on hammering and keep on practicing those things, Tim. And even if these examples seems a bit trivial, we always have to start with the small things and not overcomplicate stuff. Just do them as simple as possible in iterations, right? Nothing is done is ready made from scratch. We have to go through certain stages. Good stuff. Thank you very much, Arun. Thank you, and thank you for the comment there. And you need to comment too, guys. It's important to me. I need 5 chapters. Seva, your thoughts?
Yeah, it's a lot of stuff. I think I want to go through this process again, but without like documentation, just like to let it all sink in, how to work with all this stuff. And also, I have a small question. Do you know why in inner HTML the string interpolation doesn't work?
It does.
On my machine. Well,
because
perhaps it works, but
are you using backticks?
It's like a single one, or
no? That is so. So there's a single one, and there's a double one, and there's the backtick. The backtick
I
is
had that as well, Seva. It took me 3 hours to work out.
And how to put a backtick?
It depends on what keyboard you have. So
okay.
I can't really answer that.
Okay. Yeah. I found it. Wow, that's okay. Thank you. I will.
And look, right? 3 hours, right?
Yeah, I was sat there looking at the documentation, looking at my screen, going, "What is this?" I went to bed and I saw it this morning, and I just went,
right.
I scrapped myself.
I didn't even know that such thing exists on the keyboard.
Yeah,
really.
that's what you get for not reading the documentation properly. There is a section in this course about string literals. Yes, there is. I know that. Or am I wrong? Am I wrong? No, there
probably is.
No,
the document
is such a small thing that you easily can just.
I know.
In the documentation, it's like so small on the screen. I was like, that must be single quotes. So I just went with it.
Yeah. But look, I think that, you know, just to shame myself or you, I don't know. Template literals. There we go. An alternative way to work with strings in JavaScript is template literals. Are useful because they, you know, being able. Right. Yes. Okay. I buy that. We should say that you. Please note that you need to use a backtick. This is a backtick here. Right, but yes, we should spell it out. You're totally right. It didn't say that, and right, because for me there's a big difference between this and a single one. I don't know if I'm using a single one anywhere, but yes, this is not right. You see here we are using a regular string, and here we are using string interpolation because it's a backtick. But we should probably spell it out more clearly. Good feedback, guys. All right. Battleman, did I say anything right? Did I get everything right today? Lucas. That's what I'm saying, not Luke.
Yeah, don't mind that. Yeah. No, it's good. Not much wisdom from here. I don't know how far you guys are with the actual BMI yet, but play around with it. You know. Try to add a little bit of extra stuff. Try to add a little bit of extra stuff in the test. Try to play around with the CSS just a little bit, because once you hit the boot camp, there's not much time for these fundamentals. It's more about getting functionality done rather than knowing how to write the small things. So the more practice and the more stuff you can get in now, the better. 100%.
Cool, guys. All right, that does it for us. Thank you very much, Lucas, for that.
Again, I have one question, Thomas. If
Go
you
ahead.
don't mind, I'm sorry, I'm
No,
stopping
it's
you
all
to
right.
say
It's all right.
goodbye. In the documentation, because I had to reinstall my Ubuntu and I was facing the same problem again that I faced before. Like here, I'll tell you, when you go here, yeah, in the startup, environment setup, you do there. When you do the Ubuntu setup there, there's one command. There was I was very, very confused with that. It is, I think, someone forgot to add something sudo. Someone forgot to add sudo there. So I was just like copying from there and pasting it there.
Yeah, but what command is that? I don't know.
This is what I'm looking. I'm sorry. Before asking question, I should have looked it before.
I am not seeing your screen.
First, I'm just finding it. Where is it? Yeah, here. I found it. Now I will share my screen with you.
So guys, if you find something in the course docs that like missing sudos or anything, just feel free to point it out in the channel. Like, there's it didn't work. This was the solution. Then I will definitely go in and update that as soon as possible. And if it's a Linux command, then I can just say that I don't know much myself about Linux.
Can you see?
I see everything. I see myself. Yeah.
Okay. So here it is. Here, this one.
This is not a. Which one? The ZHS or this Git? Which one?
Am I right? I lost it. Where?
Yeah.
I just found it and I lost it. When you in the Ruby, when you install the gem there in the Ruby, okay.
Yeah, so all Ruby commands shouldn't be sudo commands. That shouldn't be the case.
The sudo command.
There should. Which one?
When you say Ruby gem, in the gem install something.
Yeah.
It is not here.
It is like you're scrolling an awful lot at the moment. So ease up on the scrolling. Go to the Ruby section. If it's a Ruby
section.
this is not
it's in PostgreSQL.
Nope. Go back to where you were.
Okay, Ubuntu setup.
Yeah, and then go down. That's the ZHS, NVM, and then you have the Ruby. There you go. Right. Okay, stop there. Stop. Could you stop for a second? Scroll up just a little bit.
Scroll up just a little bit.
Right. So this does stop there. So what we want to do here is to the only time you need to install something with sudo is the 4 commands on top, right? Then you should be pretty okay with sudo. Which command is it that you didn't get to?
When I was installing gems, gem.
Yeah. Okay. So these are not sudo commands. Installing gems are not sudo commands. That I know for sure. So what?
Okay.
Hold on a second. Now, if you go back to the documentation, if you need to use sudo on your gem install, then you missed to do the sudo add user. You see, like just over the text restart your computer, you see that there are some commands to add a user account to your computer. Do you see that?
Okay.
Could you select them?
I'm not getting where.
Okay, so it says restart your computer in the text.
Yeah, here.
No.
Yeah.
In the text.
Okay, in the text. Okay, in the text.
It says restart your computer.
Here.
No.
Yeah, this is.
But okay.
Restart your computer.
Okay, all right, it does. So you see the gray area below that. You have 4 lines of code. 4 lines of command. This not above. Place your cursor a little higher up. There. These. Okay. these needs to be executed. If they are executed properly, then you do not have to do sudo when you install gems. You should never have to say you should never have to install gems as a sudo user. So these needs to be run properly. And the question is whether when you reinstall, did you actually execute these commands?
Yeah, I did, but I'm sorry, it's like very confusing right now. So I'll do it again then, and then if I face the same problem, I'll let you know.
Right.
Yep.
Unfortunately, I'm going to tell you, there's nothing I can do about that, because since I am remote and you have to restart your computer after that, then it's not really possible for me to give you any support. But I will do my best. At least and please let me know if that doesn't work, of course, and we'll get
Okay.
you sorted with that. All right.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
guys, that does it for us. Wife is waiting. There's a dinner on my table and probably on yours as well. Take it
Yes.
easy. Cheers. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Cheers.
And to my streaming viewers, thank you very much for tuning in. Hopefully you picked up something interesting. Just let me know if there's anything you would like to see on my channel, and thank you for the follows, and thank you for sticking around and hanging out with us. Thanks.